At 17:02 local time, two fully loaded Boeing 747s sat at opposite ends of the same narrow strip of concrete, swallowed by dense volcanic fog. One was preparing for takeoff, the other was slowly taxiing across the runway, searching for an exit it could no longer see. In less than 4 seconds, 583 people would be dead. Not because of mechanical failure, not because of sabotage, not because of weather alone, but because a sequence of microscopic decisions aligned with terrifying precision. What happened that afternoon in Tenerife permanently rewrote aviation safety, and no system on Earth detected it in time. And the most disturbing part is this: everything that led to the deadliest crash in aviation history appeared at first glance to be completely normal. On March 27, 1977, the island of Tenerife in the Canary Islands was not prepared to become the center of the world's attention. The small regional airport of Los Rodeos operated under routine conditions, handling mostly local traffic. That morning, nothing suggested that history was about to fracture. Aircraft landed, departed, refueled, and departed again. An endless choreography of metal and precision. But several hundred kilometers away, on the neighboring island of Gran Canaria, a terrorist bomb detonated inside the terminal building of Las Palmas Airport. The explosion killed one person and injured several others. Within minutes, authorities closed the airport due to security concerns. Incoming international flights were diverted. And Tenerife, a small airport never designed to handle heavy transcontinental traffic, suddenly found itself overwhelmed. Among the diverted aircraft were two giants of commercial aviation: Pan American World Airways, Flight 1736, arriving from Los Angeles, and KLM Royal Dutch Airlines Flight 4805, departing from Amsterdam. Both aircraft were Boeing 747s. At the time, the largest passenger airplanes ever built. Together, they carried more than 500 people. Los Rodeos had only one main runway, one taxiway, and limited parking space. Within a short time, the airport became congested beyond operational capacity. Aircraft were parked along taxiways, ground routes were blocked. Controllers improvised parking patterns never meant to exist. Every layer of the system stretched itself thinner. As the afternoon progressed, thick Atlantic fog rolled across the airfield, reducing visibility to less than 300 meters. The control tower, already under pressure, now coordinated an airport operating far beyond its design limits. Yet, despite the chaos, all procedures continued as written. No alarms sounded, no warnings appeared, no system declared an emergency. Everything remained technically within operational tolerance. The system was not failing. It was functioning precisely as designed. The Pan Am aircraft landed first and was instructed to taxi along the main runway, then exit at a specific intersection. The KLM aircraft followed, taxiing behind, but congestion prevented the Pan Am plane from leaving the runway at the intended exit. It continued forward, slowly advancing through thickening fog, searching for a turnoff it could not clearly identify. Meanwhile, the KLM aircraft stopped at the far end of the same runway to prepare for departure. Inside the KLM cockpit sat Captain Jacob van Zanten, one of the most respected pilots in the company, a senior instructor, and the public face of KLM's training division. His photograph appeared in advertisements across Europe. His authority inside the airline was absolute, but time pressure was mounting. Strict duty hour regulations meant that if departure was delayed much longer, the crew might exceed their legal working limits, forcing an overnight delay with hundreds of stranded passengers. The pressure was subtle, invisible, yet powerful. While the Pan Am aircraft was still taxiing ahead, the KLM captain began the takeoff checklist. Outside, fog erased all visual references. Inside the cockpit, radio transmissions between aircraft and control tower became fragmented. Multiple aircraft shared the same frequency. Signals overlapped, confirmations blurred, yet no single exchange appeared dangerous. Each one, isolated, was trivial. Each one, alone, harmless. At 17:05, KLM requested clearance. The tower issued the route clearance, not the takeoff clearance. In aviation protocol, those are two distinct permissions, but the phrasing was complex. In the noise of overlapping transmissions, the distinction blurred. The KLM first officer repeated part of the clearance, ending with the words, "We are now at takeoff." The controller responded, "Okay," but immediately added, "Stand by for takeoff. I will call you." At that exact moment, another aircraft transmitted on the same frequency. Two radio carriers overlapped, the signals heterodyned. The final critical instruction dissolved into static. Inside the KLM cockpit, only a single word remained: "Okay." The engines of the KLM 747 roared to full thrust. At the same moment, the Pan Am aircraft, still slowly taxiing ahead on the same runway, transmitted a warning: "We are still taxiing down the runway." That message collided with other radio signals, dissolving into interference. In the KLM cockpit, the warning never registered clearly. Dense fog erased visual confirmation. From the tower, the controllers could not see either aircraft. From inside the cockpits, neither crew could see the other. The system now relied entirely on radio communication, and in that moment, communication fractured. At opposite ends of the same runway, two aircraft were now moving directly toward each other. One accelerating blindly into the fog, the other inching forward in search of a vanished taxiway. Inside the Pan Am cockpit, a faint glow cut through the grey wall ahead. One of the pilots leaned forward, squinting into the mist. Then a single sentence shattered the routine calm. "There he is." The KLM aircraft surged forward, its massive weight building unstoppable momentum. The Pan Am crew slammed the throttles forward, attempting an emergency turn to escape. It was too late. The KLM aircraft lifted its nose in a desperate attempt to take off early, dragging its tail across the asphalt. The lower fuselage struck the Pan Am plane directly above the cockpit. The collision tore both aircraft apart in a fireball visible across the island. Fuel ignited instantly. The Pan Am fuselage disintegrated. The KLM aircraft slammed back onto the runway, exploding upon impact. In less than 4 seconds, 583 people were dead. No mechanical malfunction caused the disaster. No weather sensor failed. No structural weakness collapsed. Every system functioned exactly as designed. And yet, catastrophe unfolded. What followed was the most exhaustive aviation investigation of its time. Thousands of hours of cockpit recordings, radio transmissions, and procedural reconstructions were dissected. Engineers, psychologists, and safety experts rebuilt the sequence second by second. The conclusion was unsettling. The accident resulted from a chain reaction of normal operations. Each decision, considered alone, was reasonable. Each instruction complied with protocol. Each action followed training. But when aligned in precise sequence, they created a fatal convergence. Investigators described this phenomenon using a framework known as the Swiss cheese model, proposed by psychologist James Reason. A model in which multiple layers of defense contain hidden vulnerabilities. Individually, these weaknesses are harmless. But when they momentarily align, they open a direct path to disaster. In Tenerife, the fog masked visual cues. The congested airport eliminated standard taxi patterns. The overloaded radio frequency created overlapping transmissions. Cockpit hierarchy discouraged direct challenge. Time pressure distorted judgment. Ambiguous phrasing blurred procedural boundaries. None of these factors alone could produce catastrophe. Together, they formed a closed loop of inevitability. The Tenerife disaster permanently transformed aviation. It gave birth to crew resource management, flattening cockpit hierarchies and encouraging open communication. It rewrote standardized phraseology, eliminating ambiguity. It accelerated the deployment of ground radar systems capable of tracking aircraft movements in zero visibility. It reshaped how human factors are studied in high-risk environments. Yet one question still lingers. If every component worked, if every system functioned, if every procedure was followed, how did reality still collapse? The answer lies in latent failure, invisible weaknesses embedded inside complex systems, waiting patiently for the precise alignment of conditions to activate. Tenerife was not a failure of technology. It was a failure of system design to fully account for the unpredictability of human cognition under stress. In that fog, on that congested runway, under that mounting pressure, 4 seconds separated survival from extinction. 4 seconds defined the boundary between routine operation and irreversible catastrophe. And within those 4 seconds, the illusion of control dissolved. The tragedy of Tenerife reveals a brutal truth. In complex systems, disaster is not born from chaos. It is born from order, from routines, from protocols, from efficiency, from systems working exactly as they were built to work. And that is what makes Tenerife so terrifying, because nothing in those final moments looked wrong. Everything looked normal,